Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel, The Everyday Card Collector. My name is Jason. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you joining. If you're a repeat viewer, thanks for coming back. Today I'm going to talk about my 2024 hobby goals. So what that entails are some of the things that I'm going to be doing throughout the year of 2024, plus some of the cards I'm kind of looking at to add to the collection to include some bigger cards for me. My first goal is to complete the Hall of Fame Players run of the 1956 Topps set. So I'm about 15 cards deep of the 33 cards. And when I say 33 cards, those are the player cards. There are 2 or 3 additional cards actually, the American League President, National League President, and then there's a manager card. And I'm still uncertain if I'm going to collect those 3. So right now I'm focusing on the player cards, which is 33 total, and I have 15 of the 33. Later on in this video, I'll be showing you those cards just to kind of run through them because I kind of like showing off all the cards throughout each video. My second goal is something that I mentioned in my first video, which is I'm attempting to collect every White Sox player Hall of Famer who played with the Sox for more than 5 years. And if they played with the Sox for more than 5 years and their card was a rookie card with the Sox, I'm collecting that card as well as first cards in a White Sox uniform. So I might show that in an additional video just because I kind of wanted to talk about goals today more and maybe show off what I have for the 56 set. But those are my 2 major goals, and I kind of would like to finish those by the end of 2024. And the White Sox goal, if you will, has some bigger cards. And as I said, I might discuss that in another video, but that might take a little longer. I think the 56 Hall of Fame player run might be a little bit easier to achieve quickly. So those are my 2 major goals for 2024. And then as always, particular cards that I'm always looking at, which will include some of the cards within those 2 projects as well as other cards. I'd love to add a 53 Topps Satchel Paige. That's a card that I love. I think I mentioned in my first video with the Sherm Lawler card that I just think the artwork in the 53 set is beautiful. And those who are familiar with vintage know that's a pretty popular set. I'd like to get a 33 or a 34 Gaudy Dizzy Dean card. Being a Cardinals fan, and Dizzy doesn't have a lot of cards. The 33 is a little more expensive, obviously, than the 34. I think the 33 is considered as rookie. So the 34 might be on the agenda for me, which is fine. It doesn't have to be a rookie card for me, as long as I've got a Dizzy Dean card, plain days card. That's pretty cool. And then some of the other cards, as I mentioned earlier, were the part of that White Sox run. I'm looking for potentially adding the 1915 Cracker Jack set into the collection, which would be the Ray Schulk card, and that would be part of that White Sox run, and possibly the Eddie Collins. The Eddie Collins is pretty high up there in price, at least for me. So I'm possibly looking at, I think they're the E106 American Caramels, which I might be able to get in a lower grade at a more affordable price. So those are some of the big cards that I'm looking for. This could change in a week, in a month, in 3 months, but that's kind of what I have on the agenda right now. So I guess what we'll do in this video is we'll kind of just, because I like to show off cards, we'll kind of go through the 56 set and what I have and what I need, and we'll talk about that as I'm showing the cards. We'll start to look at what I have for my 1956 Hall of Fame run for all of the players. I'm taking them in order of the card number and obviously how I have them. Like I said, of the 33, I think I'm certain I have 15 of them, so getting close to halfway there. This is why it's a project for 2024 for me. I think it's an achievable project to get this done by the end of the year. Although I'm missing quite a few of the big cards, but we'll kind of run through everything. So this is the first one. Obviously, I don't need to tell you they're 1956 Topps. They're all going to be. This is the Ernie Banks. Got this in an SGC4 and got this about a month and a half ago at the Chicago Sports Spectacular. So good looking card. The nice thing about the 56 set, in my opinion, if you're not a stickler on centering, left to right and up and down, you can see this one's off a little bit, but it still doesn't look terrible. They look kind of balanced as they're a slightly bigger card than the standard standard cards that are made these days. So 54 through 56 were larger cards, slightly larger. So that's my Ernie Banks in a 4. Next is Ena Slaughter, predominantly known for being a Cardinal, but in this particular card, he is part of the Kansas City A's. So this is in a PSA 5. For those who don't know much about the grading companies, in my opinion, there are 4 major grading companies: PSA, SGC, CSG, and Beckett's or BVG for vintage. And my collection is predominantly PSA and SGC. And if you were to ask me who I prefer, it's probably SGC. So that's Ena Slaughter. We'll get to the next one. Is card 118, Nelly Fox. Again in a PSA 5. Got this from my oldest daughter as a gift, as a birthday gift, a year ago, last year, not this most recent birthday. But being a Sox fan, this is an awesome card to have for me. Nelly Fox. Actually considering potentially adding another project to my list for 2024, which could be the Nelly Fox run. And when I say run, all of his cards throughout his playing days, for those who aren't familiar with what a run is, a player run. But this is card 118 and my Nelly Fox. All right, next guy. Richie Anderson, in a PSA 4. This is my wheelhouse. 3s, 4s, and 5s. It's kind of where I live as far as if I'm buying graded cards, depending on when they were made. Obviously, if they're older cards, pre-war cards, I'm not looking at 3, 4s, or 5s. I'm looking at what looks best in the lowest grade possible that's affordable to me. So that's kind of how I collect. It's not necessarily I want to have the cards and I want to have the nicest cards for the amount of money that I can afford to pay. So for this particular set, the wheelhouse is 4s and 5s, and as I get to some of the bigger cards, it'll be less than that. But just find the best possible card you can at that particular grade. So this is my Richie Anderson, card 120. All right, next guy. Love this card. Again, Sox fan. Mini Manuso, card 125. Actually, have 2 of these cards. I've got one ungraded, and then this is my graded one. My ungraded one I got many years ago, and it was pretty beat up, pretty creased up. Corners are pretty rounded. So for this, when I decided to do this particular player run of the 56 tops, I kind of wanted just a better representation. And it's a pretty inaffordable card, or inexpensive card, I should say. So I was able to step it up a little bit, which I think I said in my first video I don't typically do, but I did on this card, and Mini was the card I did it with. So that's my Mini 125, card 125. Next card you guys saw if you've watched my first video. This was a big card for me. It's my Mickey Mantle in a 1.5. As I mentioned in my first video, I got it at the National. Absolutely love this card, so not too much to say about it. If you're familiar with the set and familiar with vintage collecting, Mickey can come at a premium. So I get what I can afford, and this 1.5 is a perfect representation to me. So that's my Mickey. Next card is card, I believe, 145, which is Gil Hodes. This is in a very good 3, PSA 3. I was at the Sports Spectacular about a month and a half ago. They have one in the fall in November, and that's where I got the Ernie Banks that I had mentioned earlier. This card was in a guy's box, kind of like his value box, and I think he had it in there for 35 bucks. I offered him 30, and he said no problem. So again, buy the card, not the grade, is what you'll hear a lot from vintage collectors. In this case, there was no reason not to pay $30 for a graded 1956 Gil Hodes card. Centered well, looks good to me. corners are a little dinged, but shoot, for $30, how do you go wrong with that? So that was a sneaky great purchase for me, or sneaky good purchase for me when I was at the last show. All right, so then we go into card 165, red Shane Deist, Cardinals Hall of Famer, well-known Cardinals Hall of Famer. Again, you know, bought this about 6 months ago. A lot of these were eBay purchases. A lot of them were eBay purchases that were actually auctions. I tend to find that, you know, on some of the lower or the lesser known Hall of Famers, you can get really good deals on the auctions. I don't want to say lower grade Hall of Famers because they're still Hall of Famers. But some of the lesser known Hall of Famers, you find really good deals on the auctions on eBay. So there's my red Shane Deist. Next is Robin Roberts. And this was a gift from my oldest daughter for this year's birthday. I just turned 50 about 3 weeks ago, a couple weeks before Christmas. And this was a gift from her. So absolutely love it, especially when they're gifts from your kids. PSA 4, you know, like I said, that's my wheelhouse. I think my lowest grade is the Gil Hodes that I showed a couple cards ago, and a 3 right now, minus the Mickey Mantle at a 1.5. But yeah, Robin Roberts, great pitcher. So next card is 195, and that's George Kell. I love this card because he's in a White Sox uniform. I think he's predominantly known for being a Detroit Tiger. But this was one of those eBay deals that I got on a auction at a really good price, and it's a PSA 4.5. So cards in pretty decent shape. Left to right, you can see it's off-center a little bit, but I absolutely love the card just because he's in the White Sox uniform, which is cool. So, and that's card 195, George Kell. Next card is card 250, Larry Doby. Larry Doby in a 4. Interesting card. And anyone who knows the answer to this might need to correct me. I believe he was traded midway through the 56 season to the Chicago White Sox. Might have even been prior to the season. But you can see in the card he's wearing his Cleveland Indians hat, but he's listed as with the Chicago White Sox on the card. So cool card. Towards the end of his career. But again, PSA 4. Very cool card, you know, number 250, Larry Doby. All right, another great pitcher. This is card 255, Bob Lemon. You can see this one's in a 5, but again, I mentioned earlier, this is an SGC 5. I mentioned earlier on the 56s, this one's a little more off-center, top to bottom. But still, you know, from my standpoint, it doesn't draw away from the card that much. Centered cards are awesome. You know, I wish every card I owned was centered, but it doesn't have to be. And this card still looks really good, even with a little thicker border on the top there. But that's my Bob Lemon, 255. Next card is card 260. It's my Pee Wee Reese. This was in a 5 as well, and there's an interesting story behind this. I bought this about a year ago at a local card show, and it was a modern dealer who had 99% modern cards, and I was flipping through one of his boxes, and this card was in there. So I asked him what he wanted for it, and he had no idea. And I think when I looked up comps, raw, or I'm sorry, ungraded, because I don't like the term raw, ungraded at the time, it might have been like 30 or 40 bucks in looking at this card at first sight. You know, the corners are in pretty good shape. It's a little off-center. But what really caught my eye is if you look on his right eyebrow there, there's a little nick. So when the gentleman, you know, I actually looked up the comps with him, and he said, well, I'll take 40 for it. I said, well, he's got a little nick on his eyebrow there. So I said, that's a big deal to me. So I'd give you 20 for it. And he took the $20 for it. Needless to say, I sent this in to SGC and I got a 5. When I did take a magnifying glass to it, or a loop to it, it's actually, on this particular card, it's not a nick on the surface. It's almost like a print defect, or what they would call like a hickey in the printing trade, where it was it was printed that way as opposed to being damaged after the fact. So if you look at it, you can see that it was clearly kind of printed that way. So maybe that's why I got the 5 and they weren't so harsh on me, because I assumed this was going to be a 3 when I sent it in. But yeah, pretty cool story. One that I'll remember for quite some time, and it's just cool to get you know, Plain Days Pee Wee Reese for 20 bucks plus grading, which runs me about 15 bucks. So you're looking at about $35, $40 for the card. So pretty cool. All right, next card is 292. Important card in my collection. Louis Aparicio. This is his rookie card, the only prominent rookie card in the 56 set, and the only Hall of Fame rookie card in the 56 set. So this is a must-have for my collection, just because it's a White Sox card and it was part of the 56 set. I bought this well before I even decided to make an attempt to collect the 56 Hall of Fame players, because it's just a card that was must for me, being a Sox fan. Beautiful 5. I bought it probably at the peak, and I don't remember what I paid, but it's probably more than what you'd pay for it now, but I don't care. So I have it. It's not going anywhere, and that's my 56 Louis Aparicio rookie card. And then my last card of this particular player run is the 307, card 307, Hoyt Wilhelm. And this card was actually won on an auction. I bought it raw on eBay, and actually sent this into another channel, Midlife Cards. He was doing pickups for the month of November. I picked it up in November, and I picked it up, and the card was $6.80. I had it graded, and it graded a 4. So I'm into the card for 25 bucks, and I was so happy with that that I actually sent it to Greg at Midlife Cards, and he added it to his video for the pickups of November from his viewers. So this has been online, or been on another channel already before it's even been on mine. But yeah, and that's the last card that I have of the 56 run. So those are the 15. So you could see I'm missing a few, you know, missing a few of the big ones. Roberto Clemente, Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. Those are the big boys that I'm missing. Sandy Koufax. But you know, it's a start. I decided to do this about midway through 2023, and you know, I made good headway. I'm 15 cards in, so I thought I would just share those with you as one of my 2024 goals is to finish that run. And I guess we'll cut it here. And if you get the chance, if you enjoy this video, like and subscribe. And I wish you all of you, the best New Year's, and all good things to all in 2024. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next video.